Steve Bannon is back in the spotlight. He sat down for an interview with MSNBC, and he said something that I just had to share with you.
Voter and the invisible Trump voter show up like a presidential year. It's very important.
What do you say to Republicans who say, why should they take your help if you haven't backed winning candidates in the special elections thus far?
Well, I think I did back winning candidates in the primary. And the Republican establishment in Alabama, Roy Moore specifically, I mean, Roy Moore would have won that election if Mitch McConnell and Shelby and these others hadn't turned against him. And so I think we've got a very good feel for how to win, a very good feel of how to turn people out. You know, I've been very involved in this since the Tea Party, the Tea Party election in 2010. So I think we have a very good idea of how to make these films, and how to get people out.
You bring up Roy Moore. How can you blame Republicans in Washington for what happened out in Alabama? Didn't the voters there make up their mind?
Well, Shelby came out on Sunday morning on national TV and said, I'm not voting for Roy Moore. I'm doing a write-in. You know, McConnell was the guy. It's the Republican establishment that dumped all this stuff to the Washington Post that turned against him when their candidate got smoked in the primary. So it was the Republican establishment that said from day one, we're not only going to support Roy Moore, they were already meeting to unseat Roy Moore and not to seat him if he'd even won. So that was the Republican establishment turning against, and they were sending a signal. They would rather even lose control of the Senate than to allow disruptors in there.
I have so much to say about this. Disruptors. Okay, sure, they're disruptors, buddy. So, look at this. This guy is getting an interview on MSNBC. He just argued, Roy Moore losing? That wasn't because Roy Moore was objectively a shitty candidate who's not only massively theocratic, but also there were allegations of him being a fucking pedophile, which seemed to be credible allegations. That's not why he lost. He lost McConnell and Shelby, the fucking Republicans. They went on TV and they said, I'm not going to vote for him. And then that's what really tanked him. No, but nobody likes McConnell or Shelby anyway. Nobody's fucking sitting there waiting to hear what McConnell or Shelby have to say about anybody or anything. Nobody likes those people. So here's the guy. He's viewed by the establishment as some sort of he's an electoral wizard. Because look, he was on the Trump bandwagon from early on. And, he knows new media too. Because he was, Breitbart? Daily Caller? I think it was Breitbart. Because, he was the mastermind behind Breitbart. Steve Bannon. Political genius. He knows how to get people elected. Did you hear what he just said, and have you seen his track record? His candidates have been failing. He just said Roy Moore was a great candidate when he was probably one of the worst candidates that ever ran for office ever. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But look at the media attention he gets in mainstream media. Now, let's compare that record to our record. When I say our, I mean, I was one of the co-founders of Justice Democrats, along with Cenk Uygur and Zach Exley and Shoykat Chakrabarti. Those two were top Bernie Sanders campaign officials. So we got together after the 2016 election and we set up a group. And how many of our candidates are doing well? 23. I believe the exact number is 32% or 35% of our candidates are moving forward. Now, that's with a group that was just created, and we don't take corporate PAC money and big donor money. So, at a permanent monetary disadvantage, a group that was just created has 23 candidates moving forward. How many mainstream media networks are knocking on my door to have an interview with me to talk about the genius behind our candidates working? How many of them are knocking on Cenk Uygur's door at TYT or Shoykat Chakrabarti or Zach Exley? The number of mainstream media people who have tried to contact me over this, it's a grand total of 0. We create a group out of nothing. We get 23 candidates elected with, or moving on to the general election, because we haven't had the general elections yet, with next to no money, because as a matter of principle, we don't take big money, and nobody finds that interesting. But Steve Bannon, who backed Roy Moore, who got his ass handed to him by a Democrat in the reddest state in the country, a guy who was the worst candidate ever, they treat him like he's some sort of electoral genius. He's a dunce. He doesn't know anything. He also contradicted himself there too. On the one hand, Steve Bannon talks out of one side of his mouth and says, the Republican establishment, they're old dinosaurs. Nobody listens to them anyway. And now his argument is, the reason why Roy Moore lost is because everybody was listening to the Republican establishment when they said, don't vote for Roy Moore. The guy is an idiot. Never mind the odious policies attached to his belief system. He's a jackass. But he gets, Steve Bannon, royalty Steve Bannon, major political player Steve Bannon. Here, have a one-on-one interview on MSNBC in the middle of the day. Pathetic. Pathetic. The mainstream media finds right-wing activism inherently sexy, while they scoff at left-wing activism. Unicorn, fairy dust, stupid fucking pie in the sky, lefties. You don't know anything. You don't know how to get elected. Your ideas aren't interesting. You want to give people health care and college? Gross. So gross. That's too reasonable and straightforward, and it makes too much sense because all other developed nations do it. That's not sexy. Is there a Nazi over here I can talk to? Where's Richard Spencer? Please say something about how you hate brown people. We'll put 87 cameras on you. What a joke. Oh my God, the mainstream media is such a joke. But listen, this is par for the course now. We know this. We knew it when it was Bernie running in the primary. We know it now that we have electoral victories and we're in the middle of this process. What is it? PCCC, 67% victory rate. Our Revolution and Justice Democrats, about 35% victory rate at a permanent monetary disadvantage. Brand new groups. They're never going to cover us. They're never going to give us fair access. They're never going to portray us like electoral geniuses on TV. So it is what it is. So we just need to stay amongst each other and keep pushing our candidates, keep pushing our message, and then we will show these mainstream media pricks the power of real grassroots activism.